back. So Nika here with your second daily neuro nugget. Now this is going to be a little bit different. You guys know that for the most part, I've stuck to talking about the Idaho 4 and just a touch of the Delphi case. But this is insane, right? I know that if you are online whatsoever, if you have been on social media whatsoever for the last couple of days, you probably have heard about the attack on the United CEO, Brian Thompson. So if you have not heard of that, congratulations, you have now heard about it. And this has taken a lot of people in the country by storm. It has taken a lot of insurance companies in the country by storm as well, right? So for those of you who are not aware of what took place, well, this CEO, Brian Thompson of United Healthcare, was fatally shot right outside of a hotel, and police are saying that this was premeditated, that it was a pre-planned, targeted attack. So the latest breaking news that I saw was maybe 2 hours ago that they are interrogating somebody. And guess what's crazy? This somebody is from Pennsylvania. And supposedly they found this suspect right outside of the McDonald's that he was allegedly carrying a fake ID and a similar weapon that was used in this premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack that took place right outside of the New York Hilton on Wednesday morning, right? So hi, Greg, welcome. I'm glad that there's some of you guys in the chat already. So I see there's 28 of you guys here. Give it a like, please, if you guys are in here already. I'll just wait a couple more minutes for you guys to join me. And I'm still drinking the same tea from the first live, which, by the way, if you have not watched it, please go back and watch it, right? Yes, there is a theory that this is another PSYOP. I've heard a lot of theories about PSYOPs. In fact, I covered the PSYOP theory regarding Brian Koberger because we know, for those of us who have studied psychology, that the government has been heavily involved in, for example, Charles Manson, right? Yes, I took my coat off, Owen, because I was going to say Gordon, Owen, because that was hot. It was very hot. And there is just a lot going on. Now, what is most shocking for me out of this entire chaos that we have seen come out of this shooting is the response from the public. And I don't know how to feel about it yet. I'm kind of torn between empathy, right? Because I understand people who are extremely empathetic. Empathetic enough that, in fact, some people are so empathetic that they will not set their own boundaries, right? They will not set boundaries because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, okay? There's people like that. And then there's other people that are saying, how is this going to do anything? Like, taking out Brian Thompson, this 50-year-old man who had a wife. By the way, she mentioned something which I think was very interesting to a lot of news sources. Why hasn't this been talked about? Again, when we are looking at these major news sources, for example, I'm looking at NBC News at the moment, they don't really like to delve deep. And that doesn't mean, of course, that, police departments or the FBI or whoever is not looking into this, but I just find it very strange that people said, his wife, said that he had been getting threats for a while, right? For a while. I want to personally know what those threats were about because I'm going to give you a little bit more to know about United. All you have to do is basically go on YouTube and look up United, and you're going to see all of the horrible things that they have done, right? And this is a very powerful company. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they make like $4.5 billion per quarter, okay? Not per year, per quarter. That is a lot of money. Now, the shooter in the video, which I'm not going to show you, you guys, I'm sure have all seen it already, you see the shooter walk toward the victim and then continues to shoot. And then you see him walk closer and closer, and it looks like the gun malfunctions, or as if there's a jam, and then he begins to fire again as he continues to walk towards Brian Thompson, right? Something that I'm seeing in every single article is they're talking heavily about the weapon. Somebody who believes in gun rights, you guys know I'm a veteran and I'm very passionate about guns. I own a lot of them. My husband has a lot of them. My entire family, we like guns, right? And most of us are veterans of law enforcement, so we're quite passionate about being able to have them. My concern is, okay, why are they talking about the type of gun it is? Okay, we know that it was a 9mm round. There were 3 discharged shell casings, 9mm, that were found at the scene, and they also found a cell phone. My thing is that it just looks like they're going to use this to try to get rid of guns. Yet again, we know that every passing year, gun control rules for owning a weapon have gotten very, very strict. Especially if you guys live in Illinois, you know it's getting tougher, right? So I just thought that it was funny that they pointed that out, because they're talking about the type of weapon and they're saying, look, he did not have a silencer on the gun, but it was a quiet gun. So I'm thinking like the news and like the politicians over here and saying, well, they're going to say now we can't have quiet guns. Okay, why would it matter? You know, it doesn't matter, because people are going to find whatever weapon they have access to commit whatever crime they want, right? When I lived in Spain, well, there's no gun shootings in Spain. Okay, but there's shankings all of the time on the trains, in the street, because people will pickpocket and just shank you on the train, right? Right? So what, are we gonna ban cooking utensils as well? That's just my personal opinion on guns. Again, let's get back to the threats, right? Because his wife, Paulette Thompson, said that he had been receiving threats. What are these threats about? What are they about? Because they are making this entire case seem like it's about a young man potentially who was upset that there was no medical coverage for either him or a loved one, and that he's basically taking this out on the United CEO. But what are the details? Okay, who were the people that were threatening him? Because if these emails or these threats were done by email, or were they done by phone, I want to know, why are they not disclosing that information, right? Now, I wanted to read a very interesting note written by a doctor to United Healthcare Community Plan. And United Healthcare, like I said, they make billions of dollars per quarter. They are one of the companies that denies the most claims. I'm a big believer that healthcare in general is a freaking scam, right? Because you're having to pay these massive premiums. They get taken out of your paycheck, just in case that if you end up needing healthcare, they're there for you, so you don't have to be bankrupt and homeless, like a lot of Americans have ended up in that situation, right? And then what do these giant companies do? They deny a third of the claims. That is massive. That's like, well, we're going to deny that claim because you have an arm and you technically don't need that arm, right? You only need one. So I'm being sarcastic, but there are so many legal loopholes for health insurance companies to deny claims. That's what I'm saying. It's a freaking scam. When in reality, if you just got rid of healthcare and I pocketed all of the money that I was paying every paycheck towards healthcare, I could probably just pay for my own healthcare out of pocket. If I saved all that money, put it aside, right? Put it in like VTI or a high earning savings account where it's making money. Your money's making money. It's a damn scam. So I can also understand, yes, maybe the theory that this is a young man who is upset that he didn't get his coverage, or a family member didn't get health coverage, is upset. Yeah, it's totally plausible. But I'm going to lead you down a rabbit hole. This is a rabbit hole for sure, right? But before I go there, let me know what you're drinking in the comments. I'm still drinking the same tea from earlier. It is a cinnamon bark, ginger root, cardamom, burdock, dandelion, clove, and orange peel. I forgot to drink it earlier. This is a note. Is it working? Is it working? Michelle, wouldn't be surprised to hear the wife is somehow linked. That was honestly my first thought, my very first thought. Can you guys hear me? I don't know what the hell that was about. My phone should not have been muted. It just literally did this weird thing. I'm going to start reading the letter from the beginning because I don't know where the audio cut out. From the doctor to United Healthcare. Dear buttheads at the insurance company, I cannot believe it has come to this. I have to take time away from my patients to inform you that you are idiots. This whole experience makes me want to vomit. But of course, I wouldn't dare throw up without the approval of my insurance company. Which brings me to my point. Apparently, you have decided that a child receiving chemotherapy has no reason to be nauseated. I didn't think it was unnecessarily writing prescriptions for antiemetics. Obviously, you would know better about the effects of chemotherapy than me, my peers, or the entire scientific community, going all the way back to Dr. Sidney Farber. So, and it goes on, right? Basically, it's a doctor writing a letter for denying nausea medication to a child on chemotherapy. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about chemotherapy and just cancer in general, right? Because I have worked in several research labs and cancer centers as well, and it takes such a huge toll on families. I'm not even talking about the stress, the emotional turmoil. I'm talking about the financial aspect of it, right? Because most people sometimes end up broke from trying to take their children or their loved ones to treatment to get them chemotherapy. So of course, these little bills like paying for nausea medication, all these expenses, you might say, well, nausea medication is only like $20, you know? They add up. They add up. That could be $20 that the family could use for gas, for transportation to get to the cancer center. It's a big deal. And it's unfortunate that we live in such a wealthy country and that we have to deal with these heartbreaking instances where these pediatric oncologists are having to see this, right? Or a lot of us scientists as well, having to see this firsthand where children and adults alike, people in general, are being turned away. Or even worse, when the insurance says, we'll cover it. And then later, they don't. And then later, because you can't pay, they take away sometimes your home, your vehicles, basically anything of value. I have unfortunately met people in the streets of Chicago that sometimes you're like, how did they end up in these situations, right? They look like they could be put together. I always tell people, if you feel safe with a homeless person, somewhat safe, if you feel like they're not on an illegal substance, for example, ask them questions. Because I have asked so many people in Chicago, like, how did you end up in this here? Like, you were born and raised here, you have opportunities. How do you end up on the streets? And then turns out a lot of them have told me insurance fraud, right? A lot of insurance fraud, like the insurances have said that they're going to pay and then they don't, and then they end up on the street because now they have nothing to pay for. It is tough. It is tough. So the doctor continues to say, so I'll just tell to stop throwing up. Thank you for that simple solution. You have saved your greedy, blood-sucking corporation shareholders a great deal of money, I'm sure. Of course, that would be the bottom line. Feel free to contact me if you need further information about how much you guys suck. Sincerely, and then the name is blurred out, of course. I also saw so many posts of people that are so upset with the entire situation, but they're not upset with the killing of the CEO. This is where people kind of split up, right? Because they say violence doesn't solve anything. But if you really think about it, our culture, our country was founded, was built on violence, right? It was. Does that make it so that violently killing a CEO is the answer? I don't think so. I don't think so. That being said, I do think that it's disgusting that 80,000 Americans die, deaths that could be prevented, right? 80,000 Americans per year because of health insurance. Mega corporations choose profits over people, right? It's always profits over people. And what's sad is that we don't acknowledge that as violent. So I just thought it was ironic when we're watching this video where Brian Thompson is being shot. The news people are like, oh my God, this is very graphic. This is very graphic. Just warning you, this is very graphic. What about the 80,000 Americans? A lot of those being children. That is not violent. That is not graphic. This is why I get pissed off when people get pissed off the wrong thing. Okay, again, this is not me saying that Brian Thompson being deleted off the planet is a good thing. That's not what I'm saying. If you're, sensitive, a snowflake, whatever, don't twist my words. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that violence is also in other forms, just like finding legal loopholes, which is what insurance companies do. They're protected through these legal loopholes. And they're like, I mean, if 80,000 Americans die, so be it, right? As long as we make our profits. That's what it's like, guys. And if that doesn't piss you off, then I don't know what will, because I was pleasantly shocked to see that so many Americans are waking up. They're finally waking up. Thank goodness. Like, I don't know what else it's going to take, like some horrible other thing to happen for people to fully wake up, because that's what we need. We need like a wide awakening. And people have said, again, well, this is not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference. But let me tell you something. Let me find it. Oh, let me check the chat. Is the chat working? And just hang tight, because we're going to get into this other rabbit hole that I promised you. We'll get there, I promise. There's just a lot to cover. Where was it? So get this, guys, okay? People are like, it's not going to make a difference. What does it matter if you kill the CEO of United Healthcare? But it does make a fucking difference. I guess apparently sometimes a CEO has to die for change to happen. I'm not applauding that. I'm just saying, because you know what another insurance giant actually did? If you have health insurance, you have probably heard of United Healthcare and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of the largest insurance giants, and we know that they had this controversial new policy. And guess what happened? Change happened after Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield saw that the American people were celebrating. I mean, Americans are celebrating the death of this United Healthcare CEO. They're celebrating that he was gunned down. Is it a little sick? Maybe. But the psychologist in me also understands. I understand both sides. So I try to remain unbiased. They reversed this controversial policy, right? They had originally said that they were not going to cover anesthesia. And then they said, oh, we're going to reverse that. We're going to reverse that. We probably shouldn't do that, because it's probably just going to piss people off. Smart move. Smart move. Another smart move is that they finally removed most of these large healthcare companies. Most of them removed the pictures of these multi-billion-dollar CEOs. You know, they're worth so much money, and they removed their pictures from these websites because they're like, hey, maybe it's not safe. Maybe that's not very clever, right? So imagine this huge company, Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, has said that, you know, they were going to just limit these reimbursement payments for anesthesia applied during surgery. Like, hello, that's one of the most expensive things that you can get during surgery. If you have ever had a surgery or have ever done a surgery, or if you have ever dealt with billing in the medical world and you see the breakdown, the surgery is very expensive. Anesthesia sometimes is even more expensive than the actual surgery itself. So I think it's a good move that they're tracking back and saying, yeah, we're not going to do that now. We're not going to do that. That's a bad idea. So now to the rabbit hole before this internet gives out, because it's trying to give out on me. Let's see. Now I'm going to talk about the United CEO, Scott Kirby. Okay. I wanted to talk about this because this brings us to the rabbit hole, right? And Scott Kirby, my internet is not wanting to do what it's supposed to. I feel like I shouldn't pay for internet. Every time that it fails, like, that should be deducted from your bill, right? It's another scam. It's another scam, like just like healthcare. Okay, so let's see. So here it is. John Scott Kirby was the CEO as well back in the day. And I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you actually, because last time somebody reported me and it's like, I can't watch it, right? Because it's like copyright or something. But this CEO was heavily criticized back in 2021. This CEO of United got so much backlash after a video of him dancing while dressed as a drag queen had resurfaced online. And this guy's like 56 years old. He's like dancing around, full drag, full makeup, lashes, wig, showing belly. I feel like he even has a push-up leather head to toe. He's you know, doing the drag queen thing. And a lot of people have said that this is actually a humiliation ritual, like an initiation ritual, kind of like you would see a lot of frat boys and sorority girls do, right? They make you do something stupid and embarrassing and demeaning so that you can join the higher ranks of dark power, basically, right? And you can be protected and, yeah, join the ranks, basically. So I just wanted to put that out there. Let me see if I can pull up a picture instead of the video, because if this is the case, and I know that most people, because this is, most people are going to go with, well, they already caught the guy, Nika, you know, he's like, you know, he comes from money, he's like a rich guy, and like he like killed somebody, and they caught him now because he was so stupid enough to carry his ID and his gun all the way to Pennsylvania. Here's the picture. But to show you that a little bit. That is him. I'll put it on the thumbnail so you guys can see. That is him. That is him. That is him. Okay? He did his drag queen. Look at that body. He's got a little body under there. Look at that snatched waist. Oh my God, I'm jealous. Do you guys think that that was a humiliation ritual? People don't like to believe this shit. They don't like to believe this shit, but I'm telling you, if you've ever attended or if you've been part of sometimes law enforcement, okay, or the military or fraternities or sororities, you know that these humiliation rituals are just basically an everyday thing, right? And that they will sometimes use this to get back to you. So when I remembered that this humiliation ritual had taken place with a previous United CEO, Scott Kirby, and he was criticized heavily online, my mind goes to much more dark, much more sinister, much more rabbit hole type of things. And now I'm wondering personally, I want to know what those threats that Brian Thompson, the most recent CEO, was receiving. Because when you start talking about these dark initiation rituals, these humiliation rituals, these groups of people, guys, this isn't about drugs anymore. This is about moving humans underground throughout the world, Epstein style type of things that take place all over the world, okay? You guys think Epstein's island is bad? There's a Filipino politician that has his own island over there too. Don't think this is just here. It's all over the world. It is a sick place with a lot of sick people in it. And I just have to wonder, did Brian Thompson do something? Could he have been involved in something much more sinister, much darker than we want to believe? And if so, or is this something of, this was just an angry young man who wanted to kill him? By the way, I looked at different pictures that they have released, because the first one we see a guy with bushy eyebrows, and people were telling me, oh my God, he looks like Brian Koberger. I'm like, bro, you can't try to pin this on Brian also. He's in jail. Allegedly. I don't really know because I haven't been there. But I think there's like a total of 5 different pictures now of the guy that was allegedly involved in this shooting of this United CEO. And to me, they don't look the same. Why are you guys showing me a picture of guys that look relatively different? They all have different outfits and they kind of have different backpacks. And I'm just hoping that they're not giving us a random guy, putting a random guy in jail, or again, law enforcement is allowed to lie and say, we got the guy, just to make us feel safe. They're legally allowed to do that while they may still be working on the case behind the scenes. It just makes you wonder. Because the guy that committed this crime, in my opinion, was very smart. He's an intelligent person. Not only that, he is, in fact, in my opinion, so intelligent that he was mocking police departments across the country. He's literally mocking them because he's like, you know what? I'm going to kill this guy without a silencer, without a suppressor, and then I'm going to leave a picture. I'm going to look at the camera, technically, side looked at the camera, and flirt with the front desk girl and smile. He knew that there's a camera there. He knew. And then I'm going to kill the CEO right in front of the hotel. And then I'm going to leave the crime scene on a bicycle. Yeah. If that is not mockery of our justice system, of just the cops, like, I don't know what is. And to top it off, the icing on the cake was that he put Monopoly money in his backpack. Oh, that's a great quote. Wakinian Tonka, thank you. Great quote. I have shared that quote when we talked about the Idaho 4. It's a great quote because the CIA and the FBI, we know several presidents talked very badly, very poorly about both of those agencies because we know that they are corrupt with power. So this guy is mocking these cops. And to do all of that, right? To do all of what I just said, and then to go sit outside of a McDonald's with a backpack with a gun and a fake ID, it just, either he's really effing dumb or it's not the guy. It's not the guy. Let's see what his name is. I thought his name was Luigi. Even the name sounds made up. My God. I know it's a real name. I know. Let's see. Luigi. Did I make that up? Luigi Mangione under arrest. From Altoona, Pennsylvania. You guys also have to understand, where is Altoona at? Isn't that like in the middle of nowhere? Isn't that like a regular gun that somebody who works like in the middle of nowhere would carry? Let's see, map. And again, it's so difficult to identify him because he was wearing a mask the whole time. All you can see, we are at the same place as the Idaho 4. Like, all you can see are his bushy brows. And what I found very interesting is that in one of the articles that was shared on social media was cops talking about how they were going to track down his DNA. They were going to try to find his water bottle that he purchased at, I believe, Starbucks. And they were going to test his DNA and then find him. And then later they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Why? Altoona is about 40 minutes from me. Is it in the middle of nowhere? Is it close to the middle of nowhere? I'm pulling up a map here. And my other theory, guys, is that this was not just a random one guy. This guy has a perfect stance when he's shooting that gun. He looks very comfortable. He looks very controlled. That's not something a regular civilian would be able to do. I think my other theory, again, and I have several, is that this was something planned and not just by one person. And when you have a crime where a lot of people are involved and they're planning to take down basically a giant corporation. This is not about Brian Thompson, probably. This is most likely about United Healthcare as a whole, right? They're trying to make a statement. Sometimes these types of criminals, that's what they do for a living. You know, they're sharpshooters. They know what they're doing, and they're cool, calm, collected under pressure. And they are oftentimes hired by people who have money. A lot of money. So I'm very curious to see where all of this goes. It's still very early to see all of this. Again, going forward, if you guys hear anything regarding this United CEO shooter, if you have any of your own theories, please let me know, because I'm very interested to see what comes out. And I would love to be able to interview the wife. I would love to be able to have more information on the type of threats that Brian Thompson was getting. And I am very curious to know if there are any ties to the previous humiliation rituals experienced by other United CEOs. So let's see. I had something for you guys, but because my laptop is acting funny, nope, it's not gonna let me. Where is it? And what do you guys think about all this? I saw some very dark, kind of dark, answers from people, but I personally don't mind dark humor, so let's see. Do I have it? No. No, it's not working. It's not working, guys. Basically, it was just dark comments left by people saying, well, Brian Thompson was he really shot by, did he really die because of the gunshots, or was it a pre-existing condition? Which I thought was kind of hilarious, kind of dark, kind of fucked up also. But just a lot of joking around like that from a lot of Americans. And I completely understand, because again, I'm personally a big believer that these fucking thieves, which is what they are, right? They're taking all of your money, raising our premiums, and then just to what? To tell us to screw off at the end of the day, right? When we really need them to cover our health issues. They're like, yeah, 33% of these claims don't get covered. So yeah, it's crazy. They are evil people. And I also took a lot of business classes when I was in college. So I do understand that from that standpoint, it's all about the money. Corporations are not supposed to be moral. Corporations are supposed to make money. Okay, that's how corporations are trained to be. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, despite corporations not having to be moral, it's the ethical thing to do. It's the right thing to do. You can't willingly let 80,000 people die a year, 80,000 Americans, because you want your dollar bills, because you need your yachts and your prostitutes, right? Your Rolex. Do you really need 20 Rolexes? Do you really need 5 yachts? Do you really need 300 hookers and 3 ex-wives and 12 children? Like, I don't know. I think money changes people. And some people realize that they can live very simply and that they can use that money to help others. You can make a difference in your life and in the lives of others. But most people just end up being very greedy, and they don't care who has to die so long they have their yachts and that their stocks keep going up. So it's very unfortunate. If you have seen the humiliation ritual by the previous CEO, please let me know your thoughts on that. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, I know it's a little bit different than we usually do. Let me know, leave a comment. I see there's 130 of you in here. Remember, this takes time out of our days. Like, most of us small YouTubers work real jobs. I personally work 60+ hours a week. I'm not asking for money. I've never asked any of you for money. I do ask you leave a comment, leave a like at the very least, do that, because it does make a big difference on the growth of this channel. And the point of this channel growing is to promote the truth, right? To expose all the corruption going on everywhere. Again, we're praying that they actually got the right guy, because time and time again, we continue to be disappointed by law enforcement. So maybe they did their job right this time, right? So you guys take care, have a wonderful night, and thanks for joining me in the chat. Good night, guys. Take care.